I was an orphan. I thought getting married would finally give me a family. But this family, it seems, never really thought of me as one of their own. Then one day I was done serving them. I scraped the dinner I just cooked into the trash. If you all think it's so terrible, then don't eat it. Go hungry. I turned and left. Ethan Miller, what the hell is this? You don't answer your phone, you don't answer my texts. You run off to a gaming lounge. How old are you? Huh. I kept my eyes on the screen, firing back. I think that life is disgusting, and I don't want to live it anymore. The pot roast was simmering on the stove. The salt should be right. I'd added enough Worcestershire, and it smelled incredible. Sarah's dad, Frank, liked a drink or two before dinner, and this was perfect for it. On the way home from work, I'd even made a special trip to the market for a fresh fillet of salmon, which I'd baked with lemon and dill. Lily had a little cough lately, so I'd also simmered some honey lemon tea for her, keeping it warm on the lowest setting. Ethan, are you done yet? What time is it? We're starving out here. Frank's voice, sharp with impatience, cut through from the living room. Almost, Frank, almost. Last dish be right there. I called back, dumping the green beans into a hot pan with a loud sizzle. I cranked the heat, tossing them quickly. The steam was a little overwhelming. Once everything was done, I carried the dishes to the table, one by one. Pot roast, baked salmon, sautéed green beans, and a simple tomato soup. I set out the plates and silverware. Carol, Frank, Sarah, Lily, dinner's ready. They trickled in and sat down. Frank was the first to move, spearing a piece of beef and chewing it a couple of times. Huh, his brow furrowed instantly. What's wrong with this meat? It's not tender at all, it's tough. How many times have I told you? You have to let it cook long enough. My stomach dropped. Maybe I was rushing it today, got the heat a little too high. Try the salmon, Dad, it's really fresh. His wife, Carol, took a bite of the fish and made a face. Did you even season this? Not enough dill? Or did you forget the lemon? It just tastes off. I used lemon and dill, Carol. Maybe I just overcooked it a little, I explained, feeling my face get hot. Sarah didn't say anything, just quietly ate her food. She looked tired too. Lily, at least, was trying. She took a bite of green beans and said softly, Daddy's green beans are yummy. Just as a sliver of relief hit me, Frank put his fork down with a clatter, his voice rising. It's the same few dishes every single day, over and over. Don't you ever get sick of it? Look at the Thompsons' son-in-law. Took them out to that new steakhouse again yesterday. They had lobster. Now that's what I call living. Carol immediately jumped in. Exactly. And look at that guy Rick from my book club. Drives a BMW, lives in one of those huge new constructions. I heard he just closed some big deal, made this much. She held up a few fingers. Then you look at us. Sigh. That tiny bit of warmth in my chest went ice cold. I stared down at my plate, shoveling rice into my mouth, saying nothing. I'd heard this speech 100 times, maybe more. Sarah must have felt it was going too far. Mom, we're eating. Why bring this up? Everyone's situation is different. What's different? Frank's voice boomed. How is it different? We've all got 2 arms and 2 legs, don't we? He's just got no ambition. Useless, if it weren't for you back then. Dad, Sarah cut him off, her tone sharp. Can you just stop? No, I can't. Frank was on a roll now, turning his attention directly to me. Was I wrong? Look at you. Can't get a word out of you. You've been at that company for how many years, still just a cubicle jockey, got nothing to show for it. You come home and all you know how to do is slave away in the kitchen. Have you got any pride? If I were you, I'd be too ashamed to even sit at this table. Blood rushed to my head, a buzzing in my ears. I gripped my fork so tight my knuckles turned white. Carol was still adding fuel to the fire. It's true. Our Sarah must have been blind to pick you. You got nothing. Remember that guy Mark who was after her? He's a CEO now. If she'd ended up with Mark, would we be living this miserable, penny-pinching life? I snapped my head up, watching their mouths move. The words were like needles, stabbing me over and over. I wake up early, go to work, come home, and cook and clean for this whole family, terrified of doing something wrong. I've treated them like my own parents, and this is what I get? Sarah slammed her bowl down. Are you done? Are you going to let anyone eat in peace? Eat, eat, eat. That's all you know. Frank spit, flecks of food flying. The second I say anything about him, you jump to his defense. What good does that do? Is that going to make him successful? He's a total loser. Doesn't even have the guts to stand up for himself. I swear it's because you came from the system. No family to teach you any manners. No clue how to get ahead in the world. Snap! That string inside my head, pulled taut for years, finally broke. I slammed my fork down on the table. The sound was so loud it startled me. The table fell silent. They all stared at me, stunned. I stood up, not looking at anyone, picked up the platter of pot roast, walked to the kitchen trash can, and scraped the whole thing in. "Hey, what are you doing?" Carol shrieked. I ignored her, went back, picked up the baked salmon, and dumped it too. "Ethan, what is wrong with you?" Sarah was on her feet now, yelling at me. Still silent, I took the green beans, the tomato soup, dish after dish, and threw it all in the trash. The only things left on the table were empty plates and a bowl of plain rice. Frank's finger was trembling with rage. "You've lost your mind. Completely lost it. I say a few words and you start throwing things." "Huh. Who the hell do you think you are?" I scraped the last of the soup into the bin, put the empty bowl back on the table, and looked at them. My voice was eerily calm. "If you all think it's so terrible, then don't eat it. Go hungry." "You," Frank shot up, nearly knocking his chair over. "What's that supposed to mean? So we're wrong to criticize you? Huh. How much money do you even make? What have you brought to this family? Besides being another mouth to feed, what good are you?" Carol started wailing, slapping her thigh. "Oh, dear God. This is impossible. My son-in-law is a tyrant. My poor daughter that I worked so hard to raise ended up with this. This thing. If I'd known, I would have rather." Sarah, furious and embarrassed, turned on me. "Ethan, was that necessary? Mom and Dad just said a few things, and you have to throw a tantrum? Can't you have a thicker skin?" I looked at her, and suddenly, it all felt so pointless. I'm an idiot. I really am. I actually expected her to understand. Frank was still yelling. "No ambition, but a hell of an attitude. You're not a man. You're a coward." I took a deep breath, forcing down all the things I wanted to scream back. I saw Lily, sitting there, her eyes wide with fear, on the verge of tears. Forget it. There's nothing to say to these people. I untied my apron and threw it on a chair. I took one last look at this place I'd spent years in, this place I had mistaken for a home. "Fine. I'm a coward. I'm useless. I'm not a man," I nodded. "Then find someone with ambition to wait on you. I'm done." With that, I turned and walked to the door. "You get back here," Frank roared from behind me. "Ethan, where are you going?" Sarah yelled. I didn't look back. I pulled the door open, stepped out, and slammed it shut with all my might. Boom! The door slammed shut behind me, and the world suddenly went quiet. I stood in the hallway, my ears still ringing with the echoes of their shouting. There was a heavy, suffocating feeling in my chest, rising and falling with each breath. I started down the stairs, 1 step, 2 steps, not even noticing the dirty linoleum. Where was I going? I had no idea. I just knew I couldn't be there a second longer. The streets were busy, the usual after-work and after-school rush. It was noisy. I walked along the sidewalk, my mind a complete blank. Their words kept replaying in my head. Loser, no ambition, freeloader, no family to teach you. They were like flies I couldn't swat away. I passed a small diner, and the smell of grilling burgers wafted out. It was only then that I remembered I hadn't eaten a single bite of dinner. My stomach was empty, but I had zero appetite. In fact, I felt a little sick. My phone started vibrating in my pocket, buzzing relentlessly. I didn't have to look to know who it was. I pulled it out. The screen lit up with Sarah's name, flashing over and over. I just watched it until it went dark. Then it lit up again and went dark again. It did this several times. Then it stopped. A moment of silence, and it started buzzing again. This time it was my friend, Dave. I figured she'd called him. I didn't answer. After a few rings, it went quiet too. The sky was getting dark, and the street lights flickered on. The wind picked up, sending a chill through my thin jacket. My feet were starting to ache. I looked up and saw the glowing blue sign of a gaming lounge. I pushed the door open. A wave of stale smoke, instant ramen, and hot electronics hit me. It was loud, the clatter of keyboards, people yelling into their headsets. "Time?" the kid at the counter asked without looking up. "Yeah." I handed him my ID. "How long?" "Just 2 hours for now." I paid with my phone. I found a station in the farthest corner and sat down. The screen glowed with a cool blue light. I stared at the desktop icons, not sure what to do. I just didn't want to be alone, and I didn't want to go home. The noise here was chaotic, but it felt separate from me, which somehow made the emptiness feel less vast. I clicked on a game, one I'd played with Lily a few times. I logged in, my character standing motionless on the map, watching other players run around, fighting and killing. I moved my own character, running aimlessly, just mechanically pressing the keys. My mind was still a mess. One moment, I saw the food being scraped into the trash. The next, I saw Frank's red, angry face. Then Carol, slapping her thigh and wailing. Then Sarah, screaming, "What is wrong with you?" And Lily, she must have been so scared. Should I have told her not to be afraid? No, it wouldn't have mattered. I don't know how long I sat there. An hour, maybe? Suddenly, a hand slammed down on my shoulder, hard, making me jump. My headset was ripped from my head, and the raw noise of the lounge flooded my ears. "Ethan Miller, I knew you'd be here." I turned around. Sarah was standing over me, her face a mask of fury. She was out of breath, her hair a mess, her eyes blazing. "What the hell is this? You don't answer your phone. You don't answer my texts. You run off to a gaming lounge. How old are you?" Huh? Her voice was shrill, cutting through the din. A few people nearby glanced over. I just looked at her. She was still wearing the sweater she'd had on at home. They say a few things to you, and you just walk out. Are you a man? Do you have any sense of responsibility? When I didn't answer, she got even angrier and reached for the power button on my computer tower. I blocked her hand. "Don't touch it. Don't touch it. You want to keep playing? You're coming home with me." She grabbed my arm, trying to pull me out of the chair. "Look at yourself. Can't you have some pride? Besides throwing tantrums and storming out, what can you do?" Her nails dug into my arm. I didn't move. "Let go," I said. My voice was quiet but raspy. "No, you're coming home with me tonight. Mom and Dad are still waiting. Have you made enough of a scene?" She pulled harder, her whole body weight leaning into it. Waiting. The word sounded so absurd to me. Waiting to yell at me some more? Or waiting for me to come back and make the midnight snack? "You." She was so mad her face turned pale. "Couldn't you just talk it out? Did you have to throw things and leave? My parents are getting older, so what if they say a few things? Can't you just take it? Haven't I taken enough?" I looked at her, exhausted. "Sarah, I've been taking it for years. What more do you want? Do you want me to smile and nod and say great point while they call me a piece of crap?" She froze, probably not expecting me to talk back so directly, but she recovered quickly. "That's still no reason to storm out. Do you have any idea how long I've been looking for you? How many times I called? You turned your phone off. Do you know how worried I was?" "Worried?" I repeated the word, shaking my head. "Were you worried about me? Or were you worried there was no one to cook and clean for your parents? No one to check your daughter's homework? No one to be your free butler?" That must have hit a nerve. She exploded. "Ethan Miller, you bastard. How could you say that about me? Is that who you think I am? Then who do you think I am?" I shot back. "A loser? A useless bum? Is that it?" More people were watching now. The kid at the counter was staring. Sarah must have felt the embarrassment, because she lowered her voice, but her tone was even sharper. "Let's go home and talk. Stop making a scene." "Home?" I let out a short, ugly laugh. "That's your home. It's not mine. In all these years, have your parents ever, for 1 second, treated me like family? Are you coming or not?" She had lost all patience, yanking my arm so hard I almost fell out of the chair. I tried to pull away, but she held on tight. "Let go of my arm," I said again, my voice turning cold. "Come home with me," she practically screamed, reaching for the power button again. I watched her hand move toward the tower, watched my motionless character on the screen, and all the frustration simmering inside me boiled over. I shoved her hand away. It wasn't a violent push, but it was firm. "You want to go back? You go back by yourself." I turned my head back to the screen, not wanting to look at her anymore. "I'm not going back." "Ethan." I threw out that dinner. I cut her off, my eyes fixed on the screen. My fingers rested on the keyboard, pressing random keys, making my character run in circles. "You all thought it was terrible, so you don't have to eat it. I think that life is disgusting, and I don't want to live it anymore. It's that simple." She stood beside me, silent. She wasn't pulling me anymore, wasn't yelling, just standing there. I could feel her staring at the side of my face. After a long moment, her voice came out quieter, but still hard as a rock. "What do you want, then?" What did I want? I stared at the colorful screen, the images blurring in front of my eyes. I wasn't seeing any of it. What did I want? I just wanted them to stop yelling at me. I just wanted to hear a kind word after a long day of work. I just wanted to come home and be able to breathe, to feel like I was with family. The words were stuck in my throat, but I didn't say them. It was pointless. She wouldn't get it. She never had. I don't want anything. I finally said, my voice flat. Just go. Leave me alone. She stood there a while longer. Then I heard her sniffle, whether from anger or something else. I couldn't tell. Fine, Ethan Miller. You've made your point, she said, her voice trembling. You stay here then. See if you can stay here forever. I heard the sharp click-clack of her heels on the floor, getting farther and farther away, ending with the sound of the lounge door opening and closing. She was gone. The room was once again filled with the sound of keyboards and shouting. The character on my screen was standing still. I leaned back in the chair, feeling all the fight drain out of me, replaced by an overwhelming exhaustion. I picked up my headset and put it back on. The world was muffled again, noisy but distant, having nothing to do with me. I looked at the game screen for a long time. Then I moved the mouse, brought the cursor to the top right corner, and clicked exit game. There was no point. Nothing had any point. I slumped in the busted chair at the gaming lounge, every muscle in my body aching. My neck was stiff, my back was sore, my stomach rumbled, and I remembered I hadn't eaten anything all evening except what I'd thrown in the trash. God, I was hungry. I checked my phone, several missed calls from Sarah, and a text from Dave. Dude, what's going on? Sarah just called me, sounded frantic. I didn't feel like replying. I closed the message and shoved the phone back in my pocket. The hunger was making me feel shaky. I went up to the counter and bought a cup of instant ramen and a Slim Jim. Back in my seat, I peeled back the lid, poured in the hot water, and the familiar, cheap smell filled the air. As I waited for the noodles to soften, I stared at the oily film on the surface and thought how pathetic it was. I'd spent all evening making a pot roast and baked salmon, only to end up here, eating instant ramen. I devoured the noodles in a few bites and drank the broth. With something in my stomach, the shaking stopped, but the exhaustion hit me even harder. The noise in the lounge was giving me a headache. I cashed out and left. The wind outside was stronger now, making me shiver. I couldn't just wander the streets all night. I thought for a moment, patting my back pocket. My wallet was there, ID and credit card. Okay. I walked down the street until I saw the flickering sign of a cheap motel. It looked run down. I pushed the door open. A middle-aged woman was at the front desk, engrossed in a show on her phone. Need a room? She asked, glancing up. Yeah, a single. How much? $120 a night. $100 deposit. ID. I handed her my driver's license and paid. She tossed a key on the counter. Room 306, up the stairs, and to the left. The room was tiny and smelled like mildew. There was a bed, a small desk, and a little TV bolted to the wall. The bathroom was so small you could barely turn around. But when I closed the door, I was alone. It was quiet, so damn quiet. I threw myself on the bed, and the frame groaned. I stared at a yellow water stain on the ceiling, my mind blank. My phone vibrated. Sarah again. I ignored it. It rang for a while, then stopped. Not 2 minutes later, it started again. It was getting annoying. I switched it to silent and placed it face down on the desk. To hell with it. I closed my eyes, wanted to sleep, but my brain wouldn't shut off. It was like a movie playing on a loop. The food being dumped, Frank's furious face, Carol slapping her thigh, Sarah grabbing my arm and yelling, Lily's terrified expression, and the dead silence behind me as I slammed the door. What were they doing now? Probably still bad-mouthing me, calling me hot-headed, calling me a good-for-nothing. Did Sarah feel like I'd embarrassed her again? Screw it. Why was I even thinking about them? It wasn't my problem anymore. I rolled over, forcing myself to stop thinking, but the images wouldn't go away. I tossed and turned until some time in the early morning before finally drifting off. The next morning, I was woken up by the sound of car horns outside. I checked my phone. It was after 7. Several missed calls and a few texts. Sarah, answer your phone. Sarah, Ethan, what is this? Sarah, are you really going to keep this up? Dave, dude, text me back. You okay? I rubbed my face and dragged myself out of bed. I splashed my face with cold water from the grimy sink, which helped a little. I checked out and went back out onto the street. The sun was surprisingly bright. It was Tuesday. I had to go to work. I stopped at a street vendor, bought a coffee and a bagel, and ate as I walked. I finished just as I reached my office building. I clocked in and went to my cubicle. My coworker, Mark, saw me and waved. Morning, Ethan. Morning. I nodded and sat down. I turned on my computer and stared at the screen, trying to get into work mode, but I couldn't focus. My phone lit up. Sarah again. I swiped the call away. The morning passed in a haze. I answered a few emails, made one phone call, but my mind kept drifting. Just before lunch, my phone vibrated again. It was a number I didn't recognize. I hesitated, then answered. Hello, Ethan Miller. It was Sarah's voice, sounding absolutely furious. You finally answered. Where the hell were you last night? Why didn't you answer my calls? Did you block me? If you have something to say it. I'm at work, I said, trying to keep my voice flat. Work? You have a nerve to talk about work? You get home right now. Immediately. Her tone was commanding. Go home for what? What do you think? Mom and Dad are still at the house. Are you done with your tantrum? Get back here and apologize. Hearing that, the anger started bubbling up again. Apologize? To who for what? You think you were right to throw things? You think you were right to not come home? Ethan, don't push it. Get back here now. Her voice was so shrill it hurt my ear. I'm not coming back, I said. If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up. You dare hang up on me, she shrieked. You get back here right now. Do you hear me? I said, get back here. I ended the call. The world was quiet again. Not 30 seconds later, the phone rang again. Same number. I didn't answer. It just kept ringing. It was infuriating. I picked up the phone, and before she could speak, I said, stop calling. We'll talk after work. After work? You get here now. I hung up again. This time, I blocked the number. Finally, peace. I leaned back in my chair and let out a long breath. My coworkers were probably looking at me, having heard my side of the call. I didn't care. In the afternoon, I was able to focus a little better, but I felt a constant tension in my gut. I knew this wasn't over. Sure enough, just before the end of the day, the receptionist came over to my desk. Ethan, there's someone downstairs for you. I think it's your wife. My stomach sank. She'd come here. I packed up my things and went downstairs. As soon as I stepped out of the elevator, I saw Sarah standing in the lobby, her arms crossed, her face a thundercloud. The moment she saw me, she strode over. Let's go. Home, she said, reaching for my arm. I sidestepped her. I can walk by myself. She shot me a glare, but didn't try to grab me again, just turned and marched out the door. I followed her. We didn't speak the entire ride home. The tension in the car was so thick you could cut it with a knife. We got to the apartment building, and she pressed the button for the elevator. As the numbers lit up, my heart sank with each floor. The elevator doors opened. She took out her key and unlocked the front door. The familiar smell of the apartment and the suffocating pressure hit me as soon as the door opened. We walked in, one after the other. Frank and Carol were sitting on the living room sofa, and their heads snapped toward us in unison. Frank's face was as black as soot, and Carol had her arms crossed, her lips pursed in a sneer. Look who decided to come home, Frank said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. I was beginning to think you died out there. Carol snorted. Well, the big shot is back. I guess we don't need to send a limo to pick you up after all. I didn't say anything. I took off my shoes and started to walk toward the bedroom. Stop right there. Frank yelled. I'm talking to you. Are you deaf? Where's all that energy you had when you slammed the door last night? Huh. Sarah threw her purse on the sofa and yelled at me. Ethan, say something. My parents are talking to you. I stopped and turned to face them. Say what? I asked. Say what? Frank shot to his feet. Say that you've lost your mind. That you're out of line. Say that you're a spineless loser who finally grew a backbone just to be a jerk. We give you a roof over your head, and you can't even take a little criticism. You dare to slam the door. Who the hell do you think you are? Exactly, Carol chimed in. If we hadn't taken you in, you'd be sleeping under a bridge somewhere. You ungrateful brat. Listening to their words, watching their mouths move, that icy feeling crept back into my heart. I nodded. Okay, I said. I didn't look at them again. I walked straight to the bedroom. Where do you think you're going? Did I say you could leave? Frank shouted from behind me. I didn't turn back. I went into the bedroom and closed the door, turning the lock. The shouting outside became muffled, but was still audible. I walked to the bed, bent down, and pulled out my old suitcase from underneath. I opened the closet and started stuffing my clothes, all of them, good and bad, into the suitcase. My underwear and socks from the drawer, my razor. The suitcase wasn't very big. It filled up quickly. I zipped it up, picked it up, and opened the bedroom door. The three of them were still standing in the living room. They saw the suitcase in my hand and froze. What are you doing with that suitcase? Sarah was the first to speak, her voice trembling. I ignored her and walked toward the front door. Ethan. Sarah rushed over and grabbed my arm. What is this? Where are you going? I shook her hand off and kept walking. Stop. Frank finally realized what was happening and pointed at me, screaming, You think you can just walk out of here? You take one step out that door, and you're never coming back. I stopped at the door and turned to face them. I wasn't planning on it, I said. Sarah's face went completely white. What did you say? Ethan, say that again. I said, I'm not coming back. I looked her straight in the eye. Sarah, let's get a divorce. I'll see you at the courthouse. Oh, a divorce? She looked like she couldn't comprehend the words, her lips trembling. Because of this? You want a divorce over this? This? I looked at her, and it was so absurd I almost laughed. Sarah, in your eyes, everything I've put up with for years is just this? What have you put up with? Frank yelled, jumping up and down. Did we starve you? You ungrateful bastard. I whipped my head around to face him, all the anger I'd suppressed for years rising in my throat. What have I put up with? My voice was low, but I bit off every word. Since the day I walked through this door, I've been your workhorse. I treated you two like my own parents, served you tea, did your laundry, cooked your meals, ran around like crazy whenever you felt slightly unwell. And what did I get in return? Constant criticism. You called me useless. You called me a loser. I turned to Carol. And you, besides finding fault in everything, what have you ever done? Have you ever swept the floor? Washed a single dish? Why have you ever not complained that my cooking was terrible? If it's so terrible, then don't eat it. Finally, I looked at Sarah, my heart aching. And you, Sarah? I work all day, then come home to serve your entire family. What have you ever done? Besides complaining and feeling like I embarrass you, have you ever seen how tired I am? Have you ever seen how much I was hurting inside? No. In your eyes, I deserve it. I deserve to be yelled at and never talk back. I said it all in one breath, my chest heaving. The living room was dead silent. Frank's mouth was open, as if he never expected me to say so much. Carol's face was red, then white. Sarah just stared at me, her eyes red, her lips trembling, unable to say a word. You. Frank finally managed to speak. You're just ungrateful. Enough. I cut him off, not wanting to hear another word. I'm done talking to you people. If you want to yell at each other. I picked up my suitcase and opened the door. Ethan, Sarah screamed, about to lunge at me again. I sidestepped her and stepped out of the apartment. Goodbye. With that, I slammed the door with all my strength. Boom. The massive sound shut everything away behind me. The yelling, the crying, and all my foolish hopes and expectations from the past. The hallway was silent. I picked up my suitcase and walked, step by step, down the stairs. For where to go? I couldn't go back to that motel from last night. It was too expensive. $120 a night was not sustainable. I pulled out my phone and opened a rental app. I scrolled for what felt like forever, my eyes blurring. Finally, I found the cheapest option. A single room in a shared apartment for $800 a month, first and last month's rent due up front. The pictures looked grim, but the price was right. I called a number. A guy who sounded like a landlord answered and said I could come see it now. The address wasn't far, so I dragged my suitcase and walked. It was an old apartment building with a dark, dingy hallway where the paint was peeling. I knocked. A man with a cigarette dangling from his lips opened the door and looked me over. Here to see the room? Yeah, I nodded. He stepped aside. This is it. Take a look. The room was pathetically small. It could barely fit a single bed, an old desk, and a rickety wardrobe. There was no window, and it smelled of a strange mix of mildew and stale smoke. The bathroom and kitchen were shared and looked filthy. This is it. $800. Utilities are split. If you want it, pay now. I'll give you the key, the man said, blowing a smoke ring. My stomach turned, but for this price, I couldn't be picky. It was just a place to sleep. Okay, I said, taking out my phone. First and last, so $1,600, right? I'll send it. I transferred the money and got the key. The guy left. I dragged my suitcase into the room and closed the door. I sat on the edge of the bed, and the frame squeaked. staring at the stained walls and breathing in the weird smell. The feeling of being completely adrift intensified. So, this was my place now? My phone vibrated in my pocket. I pulled it out. It was Sarah. Ethan, come back. We need to talk this through. I didn't reply. I just switched my phone to silent and put it back in my pocket. My stomach rumbled. I left the room and went to a small convenience store downstairs. I bought a cup of instant ramen and a bottle of water. Back in my tiny room, I boiled water in an old electric kettle. As I sat on the creaky chair, slurping the hot noodles, I finally started to feel a little warmer. After eating, I washed up as best I could and lay down on the hard bed, staring at the single, dim light bulb on the ceiling. I could hear one of my new roommates coming home, loud and disruptive, slamming a door. So noisy. But somehow, it wasn't unbearable. At least no one was pointing a finger at me and yelling. The next morning, my alarm went off. I dragged myself out of bed, feeling sore all over. I splashed some cold water on my face and left for work. I bought a bagel and a coffee on my way, scarfing them down before I got to the office. I clocked in and went to my cubicle. "Morning, Ethan," my coworker Mark said. "Morning." I nodded and sat down. I turned on my computer and started to work, answering emails, organizing spreadsheets, calling clients. I forced myself to focus on my job and not think about the mess my life had become. But my phone screen kept lighting up. It was always Sarah. "Answer your phone. Are you really going to be like this? Mom and Dad are furious. Are you happy now? Even if you don't care about me, don't you care about Lily?" Seeing Lily's name was like a needle to the heart. The kid, I wondered how she was doing. Me storming out like that must have terrified her. But what could I do? Go back. Go back and keep taking their abuse? And then what? Wait for the next time they were in a bad mood to tear me to shreds again? I shook my head, pushing the thought away. I couldn't be soft. At lunch, I went to the cafeteria, but had no appetite. I got a small plate of food and found a corner to sit by myself. I ate with my head down, not wanting to talk to anyone. My phone lit up again. Another unknown number. I hesitated, then answered. "Hello. Ethan Miller." Of course, it was Sarah's voice, sharp with anger and anxiety. "You finally answered. Did you block my other number? Do you have to be so petty? Do you need something?" "I'm eating lunch," I said. "Lunch? You have the nerve to eat lunch? What do you want? Do you know Lily cried for hours last night?" My heart clenched. "What's wrong with Lily? Now you ask about Lily? Why didn't you think about her when you slammed the door and left?" she said, her voice cracking. "She keeps asking where Daddy went. Why you not coming home? Ethan, you're a monster." I gripped my fork, speechless. "Come home," she said, her tone softening slightly but still demanding. "For Lily's sake, can you just do that? Come home, apologize to Mom and Dad, and we can put this behind us. Apologize again. No matter what, it was always my fault." "I have nothing to apologize for," I said. "If I scared Lily, please tell her I'm sorry. But I'm not coming back. That's not going to happen. Ethan, you." I hung up before she could finish. My chest felt tight, and I couldn't eat anymore. I dumped my tray and went back to the office. The afternoon was even harder to get through. My mind kept wandering. Just before quitting time, my phone vibrated. I glanced at it. It was the front desk. "Hello, Ethan," the receptionist said. "That woman, Sarah, is here again. She says she's here to see you." "Again?" I sighed. "Tell her I've already left for the day." Oh, okay." The receptionist sounded hesitant. I hung up and just sat in my chair. I waited until most of my coworkers had left. Then I got up, took the fire stairs down, and left through the back door. When I got back to the shared apartment, I could hear someone inside screaming as they played video games. I frowned, unlocked the door, and went in. The gamer glanced at me, then went back to shouting into his headset. I didn't bother saying anything, just went into my room and closed the door. The flimsy door did little to block the noise. The shouting and game sounds bled right through. It was so damn annoying. I made another bowl of ramen and sat there eating it. As I ate, the anger started to build again. Why? I work hard. I make a living. I came home and took care of her entire family. And in the end, I'm a bad guy. I don't even have a quiet place to eat and sleep. Just this hellhole with a noisy roommate and instant noodles. And them? They were probably in that nice, big house, eating and drinking and probably still cursing my name. Damn it. I threw my fork down on the desk. What kind of life was this? My phone screen lit up again. I didn't even look. I knew who it was. Whatever. I cleaned up the ramen cup and washed my face. I got into bed and pulled the covers over my head. I could still hear the noise from outside, and it was stuffy under the blankets. I lay there with my eyes open in the dark, just thinking. Tired. So tired. Not physically, but emotionally. It felt like years of exhaustion had finally caught up with me all at once. I didn't know if I was doing the right thing. I didn't know what would happen next. Divorce? What about Lily? I stopped myself. Don't think about it. Just sleep. I have to work tomorrow. I rolled over and forced my eyes shut. The gaming sound from outside seemed to have quieted down. Maybe he was finally done. At least I could get some sleep. I kept my routine. Go to work, bury myself in tasks, and try not to think about my life. The moment I sat down at my desk, my phone buzzed. Sarah. I declined the call. 2 minutes later, the internal line from the front desk rang. Ethan, that woman, Sarah, is here again. She says she's not leaving until she sees you. My temples throbbed. This was relentless. Fine. Tell her I'll be right down, I said, hanging up. I took a deep breath. There was no avoiding it. This had to be dealt with. I went downstairs to the lobby. Sarah was there, just as the receptionist said. Today, she didn't look as aggressive as last time, but her face was grim, and she had dark circles under her eyes. She probably hadn't been sleeping well either. She saw me and walked over quickly, her voice low but still sharp. Ethan, you finally decided to see me? Just say what you need to say. I'm on the clock, I said, my face a blank mask. Work? Is that all you care about? She snapped. Do you have any idea what a mess things are at home? Is your home a mess? What does that have to do with me? I replied. Her voice shot up an octave. What do you mean, my home? Isn't it your home, too? From the moment I slammed that door, it stopped being my home, I said, looking her straight in the eye. Sarah, I made myself clear. A divorce. Let me know when you're free, and we can go to the courthouse and get it done. She looked like my words had physically struck her. The color drained from her face, and her lips trembled. You're serious? You really want a divorce? Do I look like I'm kidding? I said. As for assets, talk to a lawyer. I don't have much. My paycheck goes to your account. The savings are in your name. All I want are my clothes and personal things, which I've already taken. The house was yours before we got married, so it has nothing to do with me. No, she cut me off, her voice cracking. Ethan, you son of a bitch. How can you say that so easily? A divorce, just like that. What about all our years together? Do they mean nothing? Years together? The irony was suffocating. Sarah, you want to talk about our years together now? When your parents were pointing at me, calling me a loser with no family to teach me manners, why didn't you talk about our years together then? When they complained I didn't make enough money, why didn't you talk about our years together? When I came home exhausted every single day to wait on your family hand and foot and didn't get a single thank you, why didn't you talk about our years together then? I took a step closer, staring at her. Now that I'm leaving, you want to talk about our history? That's a pretty cheap sentiment, don't you think? She was speechless, her chest heaving. She glared at me, her eyes slowly turning red. Yes, my parents complained. I've complained about you too. But that was we were just angry. What married couple doesn't fight? She said, her voice choked with tears, but still tried to sound tough. You're going to throw away our family over something so small. Are you even a man? Whether I'm a man or not isn't for you to decide, I said. I was just so tired of it all. Sarah, I'm not asking you. I'm telling you. We are getting a divorce. No, she shrieked, drawing glances from others in the lobby. I won't do it. Don't even think about it. It doesn't matter if you agree, I said. I can file myself. After 2 years of separation, the court will grant it anyway. She looked at me as if she were seeing me for the first time, her eyes wide with disbelief. File, Ethan, you'd really take me to court. When did you become like this, so cold-hearted? I didn't change. I woke up, I said, and now that I'm awake, I don't want to go back to sleep. She just stood there, not moving, biting her lip and staring at me. Tears welled up in her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. We were at a standoff in the middle of my office lobby, the air thick with tension. Finally, she sniffled, and as if making a great effort, she lowered her voice. It was almost a plea. Ethan, I'm sorry, okay? I'm apologizing to you. I fought with my parents yesterday. I know what they said was way out of line. Please come home. Okay, from now on. I'll make them stop. Make them stop. I shook my head. Sarah, the problem isn't how much they say. The problem is that none of you have ever treated me like an equal. In your eyes, in your parents' eyes, I'm just the guy who's supposed to serve you and take the abuse. A few less insults isn't going to fix that. Then what do you want? Huh, she said, her voice rising again. What will it take? Do you want my parents to get on their knees and beg for your forgiveness? I don't want anything, I said. I just want to be left alone. I want some peace. Is that too much to ask? Peace. The tears finally came, but her tone was still accusatory. All you care about is your own peace. What about Lily? She's only 10. What about her? She cried until midnight last night, asking why her daddy wasn't coming home. Ethan, is your heart made of stone? Don't you care about her at all? Hearing Lily's name was like a physical blow. The kid, I couldn't stand the thought of hurting her. I was silent for a few seconds. Lily, my voice was hoarse. If she wants to talk to me, you can have her call me. Or, we can set up a time for me to take her out. But I'm not coming back home. Those are two different things. Two different things. How are they two different things? She cried. A home without a father isn't a home. How can you be so cruel? A place without dignity isn't a home either, I said, hardening my heart. Sarah, stop. If you agree, we can do this amicably. If you don't, I'll wait 2 years. The choice is yours. She looked at me, tears streaming down her face, her makeup starting to run. It seemed to finally dawn on her that I was serious. I wasn't just angry. I wasn't trying to make a point. I was done. The realization seemed to crush her. The aggressive woman from a moment ago was gone, replaced by someone who looked lost and confused. Ethan, she said, her voice trembling. Please don't. I know I was wrong. I really do. Can we just try again? Please, just one more time. A last time. No. I cut her off, my voice quiet but firm. We've tried too many times. I'm tired. I turned and walked toward the elevators. Ethan, she called after me, her voice breaking into a sob. I didn't turn back. I stepped into the elevator and pressed the button for my floor. As the doors slowly closed, I could still see her standing in the lobby, her head down, her shoulders shaking. The elevator went up. I leaned against the cool metal wall and let out a long, slow breath. My chest felt heavy, like there was a boulder sitting on it. I knew my words were harsh, and I knew she was crying. But I couldn't do it. Go back to that life? I couldn't. If I gave in now, I'd be giving in forever. If I went back this time, it would only be worse in the future. They would know they could walk all over me, and they would. I couldn't let that happen again. The elevator arrived at my floor. I walked out and went back to the office. My coworkers saw the look on my face and didn't ask any questions. I sat at my desk and stared at my computer screen, but I couldn't read a single word. All I could see was Sarah's face, crying and begging me to try again. Annoying. It was all so damn annoying. I stood up to get some water. As I did, my phone buzzed. I figured it was Sarah again and impatiently grabbed it. It was a new text message from an unknown number. The message was short. Mr. Miller, my name is Mr. Davis. I am an attorney representing Ms. Sarah Miller. I would like to schedule a time to discuss the terms of your divorce. Are you available this afternoon? A lawyer. She worked fast. 1 minute she was crying and begging me to come home. The next she was lawyering up. I stared at the text message for a few seconds, stunned. A lawyer, Mr. Davis. Wow. She didn't waste any time. 1 minute she's crying in my office lobby, talking about giving another try. The next she's already hired a lawyer. The speed was dizzying. Any lingering guilt I had for making her cry vanished instantly, replaced by a raw, simmering frustration. And maybe this was for the best. Get it over with. I called the number from the text. A man with a dry, professional voice answered after 2 rings. Hello, you've reached the office of John Davis. How can I help you? This is Ethan Miller. I just got a text from you, I said. Ah, Mr. Miller, yes. The voice was unchanged. I am Mr. Davis, retained by Ms. Sarah Miller to begin preliminary discussions regarding your divorce. Would you be available to meet this afternoon to discuss the matter? Discuss what? I asked. How to split the assets. Who gets a kid? Let's just do it over the phone. I don't have time to meet. Mr. Davis paused, probably surprised by my bluntness. Mr. Miller, there are certain documents that are best reviewed in person. Furthermore, It is Ms. Miller's wish that we facilitate an amicable negotiation to avoid unnecessary litigation. I don't care what her wish is. I cut him off. Just tell me her terms. Well, according to Ms. Miller's statement, your primary marital asset is approximately $15,000 in savings, held in an account under her name. Her proposal is, considering your current financial situation, she is willing to give you $3,000. Regarding custody of your daughter, Lily, she wishes to retain full custody. You would be required to pay monthly child support at a rate of 20 to 30% of your monthly income. Visitation rights can be negotiated. I almost laughed out loud. 15,000 and I get 3. All these years, my paycheck went straight into her account and I walk away with 3 grand, and she wants 20 to 30% for child support. She's got a lot of nerve. You tell her, I said into the phone, that I don't want a dime. The full 15,000, she can keep it. Custody, if she wants it, she can have it. I won't fight it. Child support, I'll pay whatever the state guidelines require, not a penny less. But if she thinks she's getting more, she's dreaming. She knows what I make. Mr. Davis seemed taken aback. Mr. Miller, are you certain you wish to waive your right to the marital assets? I'm certain, I said. As long as this divorce is quick and clean, I'll agree to anything. Tell her to have the papers drawn up. When she's signed them, let me know, and I'll meet her at the courthouse. I see, Mr. Davis said, his tone shifting slightly. I will convey your wishes to Ms. Miller. If she agrees to this arrangement, I will prepare the agreement as soon as possible. Good. If that's all, I'm hanging up. I ended the call before he could reply. I tossed my phone on the desk with a loud clatter. My coworker Mark glanced over. You okay, Ethan? You don't look so good. I'm fine, I said, shaking my head as I went to get some water. My chest felt tight. It wasn't about the money. It was the principle. All these years, I'd pour my earnings into that family, only to be left with nothing but a child support bill. But then again, if money could buy me a clean break from that family, maybe it was worth it. Better than being dragged through a messy, prolonged fight. I got back to my desk, and my phone rang again. This time, it was Sarah's number. I stared at the screen for a moment, then answered. I wanted to hear what she had to say now. Hello, I said, my voice cold. The other end was silent for a moment, just the sound of heavy breathing. Then Sarah's voice came through, filled with disbelief and rage. Ethan Miller, what the hell is this? You told the lawyer you don't want any money. Who are you trying to impress? Are you trying to humiliate me? I was speechless. Me not taking money is humiliating you. Sarah, are you insane? What do you want me to do? Fight you for the 15 grand. Drag this out in court for a year. I don't have the time or energy for that. I told you, I just want a divorce, whatever it takes. You, she was sputtering, catching her breath before her voice grew even shriller. You're that desperate to be rid of me. Are you seeing someone else? Is that it? No wonder you're being so generous. You don't even want the money. Oh my God. I couldn't believe it. Where did she even come up with this stuff? Sarah, could you be any more dramatic? I said, trying to keep my anger in check. You know exactly why I left. It has nothing to do with anyone else. I'm sick of your family. I'm sick of your parents. And I'm sick of you. Do you understand? There was a pause, and then her voice came back, thick with tears, but not of sadness, of rage. Ethan Miller, you're heartless. How much have I given to this family? And my parents, whatever their faults, they're your elders. You couldn't just tolerate it. You had to blow everything up, and now you're refusing the money, just so everyone will think I'm the bad guy. Don't you dare act so high and mighty. Her logic was so twisted, it just made me tired. There was no getting through to her. She would always believe she was the victim. Think whatever you want, I said. Let me know when the papers are ready. I'm hanging up. Don't you hang up on me, she shrieked. I'm telling you, I'm not signing anything. You think you can just walk away? It's not that easy. You want to sue me? Go ahead. Let's see what a judge has to say, and you can forget about that money. You won't get a cent, and you'll pay every last penny of child support. I will drag this out forever. Her voice was like nails on a chalkboard, sharp and piercing. I had reached my limit. Fine. Sarah, you said it. My voice went cold. Let's drag it out. 2 years of separation, and a judge will grant it anyway. As for the money, keep it. But starting today, not another cent of my salary will go into that account. Child support will be determined by the court. Have a nice life with your parents. Ethan Miller, you wouldn't dare. Watch me. I ended the call. This time, I didn't wait for her to call back. I went into my phone's settings and blocked her number. Finally, silence. I leaned back in my chair, my heart pounding, my hands shaking with anger. Unbelievable. Even getting a divorce had to be this ugly. The rest of the afternoon, I couldn't focus on work at all. By the time 5 o'clock rolled around, I was the first one out the door. Back at the shared apartment, my roommate was predictably screaming at his video game. I ignored him and went into my room, closing the door. I made a bowl of ramen and sat down to eat. As I ate, my phone rang. It was a local landline number. I was confused, but answered anyway. Hello. Hello. Is this Mr. Ethan Miller? A woman's voice asked. It is. Who's this? Oh, hello. This is Lily's teacher, Ms. Gable. My stomach dropped. Ms. Gable. Hello. Is something wrong with Lily? Please don't worry. It's nothing serious, Ms. Gable said calmly. It's just that Lily seemed very down in class today. I spoke with her after school. She said that Mommy and Daddy had a fight and that you moved out. She was very upset. Her eyes were all red from crying. I just thought it would be best to let you know. My heart clenched as if squeezed by a fist. My throat went dry. Ms. Gable, thank you for telling me. Her mother and we've been having some problems, and we are living separately for now. I didn't realize it was affecting her so much. I'm so sorry. I didn't know what else to say. Children are very perceptive, Ms. Gable said with a sigh. When parents fight, the children are the ones who get hurt the most. Mr. Miller, I know it's not my place to interfere in your personal life, but if I may, could you and Ms. Miller please try to handle this as peacefully as possible, especially in front of Lily. She's such a sweet girl, and it broke my heart to see her like that today. I know. Thank you, Ms. Gable, I said quickly. I'll be more careful, and thank you for looking out for her at school. Of course. That's all. Goodbye. Goodbye, Ms. Gable. I hung up the phone. The fork in my hand almost fell to the table. Lily, she must be so scared and so sad. Was I being selfish? Was I so focused on my own pain that I didn't think about her? But what was the alternative? Go back and just take it for her sake? Would I be happy then? If I was miserable and resentful all the time, would that really be better for her? My mind was a mess. I couldn't eat. Just then, my phone rang again. The name on the screen made me freeze. It was a call from Lily's kid smartwatch. She rarely called me herself. I quickly cleared my throat, trying to make my voice sound normal, and answered. Hey, Lilybug. There was a pause, and then Lily's small voice, thick with emotion, came through the phone. Daddy, when are you coming home? I miss you. 7 Lily's tear-filled voice was a dagger to my heart. Daddy, when are you coming home? I miss you. I gripped the phone, a lump forming in my throat, rendering me speechless. My eyes started to burn. Lilybug. I took a breath, trying to keep my voice steady. Daddy's really busy with work right now, so I won't be home for a little while. You be a good girl for Mommy and do well in school, okay? Daddy, are you leaving me and Mommy? She asked, her voice cracking. Are you getting a divorce? My friend Michael's parents got a divorce. His dad moved away and never came back. Daddy, please don't leave me. It was agony to hear her so distraught. My heart felt like it was being squeezed in a vice. Sweetheart, of course Daddy would never leave you, I said quickly. Daddy and Mommy we have some grown-up stuff to figure out. No matter what, you are always my baby girl, and I will always love you. If you miss me, you can call me anytime, or I can take you out on the weekends. How does that sound? Really, she sniffled. Really? Daddy promises, I assured her. I comforted her for a few more minutes, then asked her to give the phone to her mom. I heard some shuffling, and then Sarah's voice came on the line. It was tired and hoarse. Hello, what's going on with Lily? Why is she crying like that? I demanded, my tone sharp. You're asking me? Sarah's voice immediately turned defensive. None of this would be happening if it weren't for you. She cries every night, asking me why her daddy isn't coming home. Ethan, you're a cruel, heartless man. I'm heartless? My anger flared. Who was the one who hired a lawyer to threaten me? Who was the one who said she'd drag this out and I wouldn't get a cent? Sarah, what's the point of playing the victim in front of our daughter? Playing the victim? If it weren't for you, enough. I cut her off. I don't have time to argue with you. Ms. Gable called me this afternoon. She said Lily was upset at school. I'm telling you, Sarah, our problems are our problems. Don't drag our child into it. If you have any sense of being a mother, you'll tell your parents to shut their mouths and stop talking nonsense in front of her. What about my parents? Whatever they've done, at least they didn't abandon their child like you did. I abandoned her. Who forced me out? I was about to explode. Sarah, let me be perfectly clear. I am divorcing you. But Lily is my daughter, and that will never change. I will pay my child support, and I will be a father to her. But if you and your parents ever try to turn her against me or upset her like this again, you'll see a side of me you won't like. What are you going to do? Huh. Ethan, what else can you possibly do? I don't want to do anything. I just want my daughter to be okay. I yelled into the phone. Sign the papers or don't. I don't care. If you don't, we'll see you in court, but I'm warning you, don't cross me when it comes to her. I hung up, my hand trembling with rage. My roommate had finally stopped his game, and the apartment was eerily quiet. I collapsed onto the rickety chair, staring at Lily's contact on my phone, my mind in turmoil. Damn it, this was all so damn frustrating. I didn't sleep well that night. The next day, I went to work with dark circles under my eyes. I was distracted all morning, replaying Lily's crying in my head. My chest felt heavy. After lunch, I saw I had a missed call from that lawyer, Mr. Davis. Here we go again. I didn't feel like calling him back. Whatever. But just as I was getting back to work, the receptionist called my desk. Ethan, there's a Mr. Davis here to see you. He says he's your lawyer. Do you have an appointment? A lawyer coming to my office? What was Sarah thinking? My anger flared again. Tell him to wait. I went downstairs, my face grim. Sure enough, a man in a suit was sitting on the lobby couch. He looked to be in his late 30s, with glasses and a professional demeanor. A briefcase sat next to him. He saw me and stood up, extending a hand. Mr. Miller, good to meet you in person. I'm John Davis. We spoke on the phone. I didn't shake his hand. Get to the point. I'm on the clock. He awkwardly retracted his hand and took a document out of his briefcase. Mr. Miller, this is the divorce agreement I've drafted on behalf of Ms. Miller. Please take a look. If there are no issues. I cut him off. I don't need a look. Did she agree to my terms from yesterday? I don't get any money, and I can pay child support according to state guidelines. She just needs to sign it. Mr. Davis pushed his glasses up his nose. Ms. Miller's position has evolved. She agrees to your proposal regarding the savings account. The $15,000 will remain with her. However, regarding child support, she is requesting $3,000 per month until the child graduates from college. Furthermore, she asks that you waive your visitation rights. I thought I had misheard him. How much? $3,000. And I give up my right to see my daughter. Is she insane? The state guidelines aren't anywhere near that high. And on what ground do I give up my visitation rights? Mr. Davis's expression didn't change. It was all just business to him. Ms. Miller's primary concern is providing a stable environment for the child. She believes frequent visitations could be disruptive to the child's emotional state and education. As for the child support amount, it is based on projected future costs for education and living expenses. That's bullshit. I couldn't help it. I swore. She's doing this on purpose. She's using our daughter as a bargaining chip. You tell her, no way, absolutely not. Child support will be what the court decides, and that's it. And she can forget about me giving up my visitation rights. That is my right. Mr. Davis seemed to have expected this reaction. He wasn't surprised at all. Mr. Miller, please calm down. If you do not agree to these terms, Ms. Miller has stated that she will not sign the agreement. Your only recourse would be through litigation, which is a lengthy and costly process. Furthermore, regarding custody and visitation, the court will consider various factors, including the financial stability of both parents and the child's own wishes. The outcome may not be in your favor. Was he threatening me? A lawyer in my office lobby threatening me? Blood rushed to my head. Don't you dare try to intimidate me. Fine, we'll go to court. I've got nothing to lose. And let me tell you, the more you push, the more I'll fight back. You think you can use my daughter against me? Not a chance. You go tell Sarah to keep dreaming. My voice was loud, and the receptionist and a few others in the lobby were staring. Mr. Davis frowned, clearly uncomfortable with the scene. Mr. Miller, I must ask you to watch your language. I am simply here as a representative to convey Ms. Miller's wishes and negotiate on her behalf. There's nothing to negotiate. I pointed to the door. Take your damn papers and get out. From now on, you can contact me through a court summons. Don't you ever come to my office again." Mr. Davis's face hardened. He put the agreement back in his briefcase and gave me a final, cold look. "Very well. I will inform Ms. Miller of your position. Good day." He picked up his briefcase and walked out. I stood there, my chest heaving, so angry I felt dizzy. "Damn it, Sarah, how could you? Sending a lawyer to my workplace to harass me. And with those ridiculous demands." I turned and walked back to the elevator, ignoring the stares of the people around me. Back at my desk, I slumped into my chair, trying to catch my breath. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Sarah, from a new number. "Ethan, you want to make this ugly? Fine. You don't get to be the good guy here. I'm sure you've met with the lawyer by now. Those are the terms. Take them or leave them. If you don't agree, you will never see Lily again." I read the text. My jaw clenched so tight my teeth hurt. "Fine. So this is how it's going to be." I texted back, "Whatever. See you in court." Then I blocked the new number. The rest of the afternoon, I couldn't get anything done. All I could think about was Sarah's threatening text and that lawyer's smug face. Just before the end of the day, my phone rang again. It was an unknown local number. Figuring it was Sarah again, I answered, ready for a fight. "Will you just get a rest? I said I'll see you in court. What part of that don't you understand?" After I yelled into the phone, the other end went silent. A few seconds passed before a timid, older woman's voice, which sounded vaguely familiar, spoke up. "Ethan." I paused. That voice. It sounded like Sarah's mom, Carol, but she had never spoken to me in that tone before. She was either shrieking at me or dripping with sarcasm. This hesitant, almost gentle way of speaking was so foreign I almost didn't recognize her. "It's me," I said, my voice still hard. "What do you want?" "Ethan, dear," she said, her voice trembling as if she didn't know how to begin. It's me." "Yeah, I figured. What's up?" I had no patience for pleasantries. I had just finished battling with her daughter and her daughter's lawyer. I was in no mood for a chat. She paused again, clearly struggling to find the right words. "Well, Ethan, how have you been? Have you eaten?" I almost thought I was hallucinating. Was she asking me if I'd eaten? Had hell frozen over? This was the woman who would complain about every dish I placed on the table, never once asking if I'd had a bite myself. "I've eaten. I'm fine. If there's nothing else, I'm busy, so I'm going to hang up." I had no interest in whatever this was. "No, don't hang up," she said quickly, her voice more urgent. "Ethan, I called because I want to apologize." "Apologize?" I almost laughed out loud. What was this, a new tactic? Sarah couldn't get to me, so she sent her mom to play the sympathy card. Was this some coordinated new strategy? Apologize for what? What could you possibly have to apologize for? I asked, my voice laced with sarcasm. Weren't you right all along? I'm a loser. I have no ambition. I'm a freeloader, an orphan with no manners. Weren't those your words? I heard her sniffle on the other end. Was she crying? Ethan, it was my fault. I'm just a stupid old woman. Everything I said was horrible. Please don't take it to heart. I have a nasty mouth. But you've been so good to us, really. To me and Frank, to Sarah, to Lily. You've been wonderful. It was me. I was ungrateful. She was sobbing as she spoke. It almost sounded genuine. But I felt nothing. It was too late. If she had said these things 2 weeks ago, even 1 week ago, I might have softened. But now, it just sounded fake, pathetic. What's the point of saying this now? I asked, did Sarah not tell you? Her lawyer already came to see me with her terms that I get nothing. She gets the house, the savings, and full custody, and I'm expected to pay an exorbitant amount of child support and give up my right to see my daughter. Do you really think a simple apology is going to change anything now? What? A lawyer? Give up your right to see Lily? She sounded genuinely shocked. Sarah never told me that. She just said you moved out. She never said anything about a lawyer or about keeping you from seeing Lily. That's not right. That's not right at all. Her reaction sounded so real. Was it possible she didn't know? Had Sarah done this all on her own? She didn't tell you? I was skeptical. Her lawyer came to my office with a printed agreement. It was all there in black and white. Sarah even texted me, threatening that I'd never see Lily again if I didn't agree. That foolish girl. How could she do that? Her voice rose with anger. Has she lost her mind? Ethan, listen to me. I had no idea about any of this. She must have lost her mind. Don't listen to her. A child needs their father. Of course you should see her. She took a ragged breath, her voice choked with tears again. Ethan, it was all our fault. Me and her father, we were the stupid ones. Sarah, she was just spoiled by us. She doesn't know how to handle things. But please believe me, we know we were wrong. This family can't fall apart. Please come home. Please. I'm begging you. Begging me. The woman who had always looked down her nose at me was now begging me to come home. The scene was so bizarre I couldn't process it. Carol, it's too late for that, I said with a sigh. My heart is cold. A few words of apology aren't going to change that. Go back to how things were. I can't do it. Every time I see you and Frank, I'll remember all the horrible things you said. Every time I see Sarah, I'll remember how she stood by and let it happen. We can't go back. Ethan, just give us one more chance. Please, just one. She was crying harder now. I promise, I will never say another bad word about you. I'll make her father stop too. We'll treat you like our own son. We will. Please believe me. Carol, stop. I cut her off. Your words now just make me feel worse. Where was this when it mattered? Why did you have to wait until you had completely broken me? It's over. Take care of yourself. Before she could say anything else, I hung up. I stood there, holding my phone, my mind a mess. Her call had been completely unexpected. Her crying, her apology. It had sounded real. Had they had a falling out? Did Carol actually regret what she'd done? But what did it matter? The damage was done. The trust was gone. It was like a shattered mirror. You could glue it back together, but the cracks would always be there. Besides, Sarah was still out for blood. Did I really believe a few words from her mother would change her mind? Not a chance. Just then my phone buzzed. It was a text message from that lawyer, Mr. Davis. Mr. Miller, given the significant divergence in expectations between you and my client, and the high level of emotion involved, we recommend suspending negotiations at this time. All future matters should be addressed through legal channels. This number will no longer be used for communication. We wish you the best. Huh? Had Carol yelled at him? Or had he decided I was more trouble than I was worth? Wish you the best. Yeah, right. I deleted the text and threw my phone on the desk. This was all so frustrating. Not a single thing was going right. I went back to my depressing room, made some ramen, but had no appetite. My mind was a whirlwind of Carol's tearful apology, Sarah's threatening texts, and the lawyer's condescending face. What a mess. What were they playing at? Good cop, bad cop? Who was I supposed to believe? Carol. What if it was just a trick to get me back so they could start all over again? Sarah. That meant a full-blown war in court and maybe never seeing my daughter again. Every option was a trap. The more I thought about it, the more trapped and angry I felt. I jumped up and started pacing my tiny room, which only made me feel more claustrophobic. Damn it. What did I do to deserve this? All I wanted was a peaceful life. No, I couldn't let them control me like this. Let them have their drama. I had to make my own decisions. The divorce was happening. That was non-negotiable. But I had to see my daughter. That was my bottom line. If Sarah thought she could use Lily to control me, she was wrong. I picked up my phone, found Ms. Gable's number, and sent her a text. Ms. Gable, this is Ethan Miller, Lily's father. I'm sorry to bother you. Her mother and I are going through some things right now that might be affecting Lily. If it's not too much trouble, could you please keep an eye on her at school? If you notice anything, please let me know. Thank you so much for your help. After sending the text, I felt a little better. At least I had a line of communication that was separate from the family drama. As for the rest, let them do what they want. I would pretend Carol's call never happened. And as for Sarah, if she wanted to fight, she'd get one. I wasn't afraid. There was no way I was going to lose my daughter. I threw the cold ramen in the trash, washed my face, and got into bed. Life settled into a bleak routine. Work, go back to the noisy apartment, eat ramen or cheap takeout. Sarah hadn't tried any new stunts, and the lawyer hadn't resurfaced. After that one phone call, her mom went silent too. It was quiet, and that was good. My chest still felt heavy sometimes, especially when I thought about Lily. But compared to the daily barrage of insults at that house, this was a relief. At least here I could breathe. It was a weekend. I was lying in bed, not wanting to get up. My roommate must have been up all night gaming because the apartment was silent. My phone rang. I glanced at the screen. It was Lily's smartwatch. I answered immediately. Hey, Lilybug. Daddy. Her voice was muffled, like she'd just been crying. My heart clenched. What's wrong, sweetie? Did someone bother you? No. She sniffled. Daddy, can you come get me today? just for a little while. I want to talk to you. Get you. I was taken aback. Does your mom know? Is she letting you come out? Mommy doesn't know. Her voice got smaller. She and Grandma were fighting again, really loud. I'm scared. Daddy, please come get me. I'll just tell her I'm going to the park downstairs. It twisted my gut to hear that. Sarah was fighting with her mom. Why? Because of me? Lily, it's not a good idea to sneak out. If your mom finds out, she'll be even angrier. I tried to reason with her. But I want to see you, she said, her voice breaking into a sob. Mommy won't let me call you. I had to do it in secret. Daddy, are you really not coming back for me? Don't say that, I said immediately. Of course Daddy wants you. You wait right there. I'm coming to get you now. Wait for me by the convenience store at the entrance to your neighborhood. Don't go anywhere else, okay? Okay, I will. Thank you, Daddy. Her voice immediately brightened. I hung up, jumped out of bed, and threw on some clothes. I didn't even bother to wash my face. I called an Uber and headed straight for Sarah's neighborhood. The traffic was bad, and I was on edge the whole ride, constantly checking the time. When I got there, I paid the driver and quickly looked toward the convenience store. Sure enough, there was Lily in a little sundress, looking around anxiously. The moment she saw me, her face lit up, and she ran over. Daddy, she wrapped her arms around my legs. I knelt down and looked at her. She seemed to have lost some weight. Were you waiting long? It's okay. Daddy's here now. MHM. She nodded enthusiastically and grabbed my hand. Daddy, let's go quick before Mommy sees us. My heart ached, having to see her own father like we were criminals. I took her hand and led her to a small park nearby, where we found a bench to sit on. Here, you must be hungry, I said. I'd stopped at the store and bought her a small carton of milk and a pastry. Thanks, Daddy. She took them and started eating in small bites. I watched her, my heart twisting with love and pain. Eat slowly. Tell me, why were Mommy and Grandma fighting? Lily's chewing slowed. She looked down and said quietly, they fight all the time now, ever since you left. Grandma yells at Mommy, says it's her fault you left, that she doesn't know how to be a good wife. Then Mommy yells back at Grandma, says it's her and Grandpa's fault because they were always yelling at you. She looked up at me, her eyes red. Daddy, is it true? Did Grandma and Grandpa yell at you so much you had to leave? And Mommy, was she mean to you too? I didn't know what to say. How do you explain these complicated adult problems to a 10-year-old? It's complicated, sweetie, I said, stroking her hair. It's not as simple as one person being right or wrong. But no matter what, you have to know that me leaving had nothing to do with you. Okay, Daddy will always love you. I know. Lily nodded, then looked at me with a serious expression. Daddy, actually, I know. You know what? I know Grandma and Grandpa always said bad things about you. Mommy did too, sometimes, she whispered. I was always scared to say anything, but I didn't like it when they talked about you. You were always so nice to me. You made me dinner, you took me to school, you played with me. They never do that. Her eyes welled up again. Daddy, since you left, no one makes good food anymore. Mommy just orders takeout. It's all gross. And no one checks my homework. Grandma and Grandpa just watch TV, and Mommy just stares at her phone. Daddy, can't you please come home? Her words were like a knife in my heart. I pulled her into a hug. I'm so sorry, Lilybug. Daddy can't come home right now. Is it because of Mommy and Grandma and Grandpa? She asked, her voice muffled against my chest. If they said they were sorry, would you come back? I sighed. Lily, sometimes an apology isn't enough. If I came back, we would all just be unhappy again. It's better this way. But I'm not happy, she suddenly cried. I miss you. I miss our old family. I don't want them to fight all the time, Daddy. Please don't divorce Mommy. Please. I held her, my own heart breaking, and just gently patted her back, unable to find any words. Just then my phone rang. It was Sarah. My stomach dropped. She must have realized Lily was gone. I answered the phone, and sure enough, Sarah's voice, shrill with panic and fury, shot through the speaker. Ethan Miller, was it you? Did you take Lily? Where is she? I'm telling you, this is kidnapping. You bring her back right now. Before I could say a word, Lily heard her and cried out, Mommy, I'm with Daddy. I don't want to come home. I want to stay with Daddy. There was a stunned silence on the other end. Then Sarah's voice came back, even angrier. Lily, you listen to me. You come home right now. Don't be with him. He doesn't want us anymore. That's a lie. Daddy still wants me. Lily sobbed. You're the ones who don't want him. You're the ones who yelled at him until he left. I heard everything. You were always yelling at him. I hate you. The other end went dead silent. After a long moment, Sarah's voice came back, trembling with a disbelief I'd never heard before. Lily, how? How could you talk to your mother like that? I do everything for you. No, you don't. Lily exploded, all her pent-up frustration pouring out. If you did, you wouldn't have yelled at Daddy. If you did, you wouldn't fight with Grandma all the time. I miss my dad. I want my dad. You. Sarah seemed unable to speak. I could hear a choke sob on the other end. My own mind was reeling. I never expected Lily to say all that. I took the phone. Sarah, Ethan Miller. What have you been telling her? What have you turned her into? She accused, her voice thick with tears. I haven't told her anything, I said. She's 10 years old. She has eyes and ears. She saw how you all treated me. She knows. Sarah just cried on the other end, unable to form a coherent sentence. Don't worry, I'm not taking her. I'll bring her back in a little while, I said, then hung up. I looked at Lily, who was a mess of tears and snot, and my heart felt both heavy and soft. Okay, no more crying, I said, wiping her face. I'm going to take you home. Your mom is worried. I don't want to go back, she said, clinging to my neck. Daddy, don't make me go back. They're just going to fight again. They won't. I try to comfort her, and I promise I'll try to see you more often. Okay, I'll take you out, but for now you have to go home. After a lot of coaxing, she finally agreed. I walked her back to the entrance of her neighborhood. Sarah was standing there, her eyes red and swollen. When Lily saw her, she hid behind me. Sarah looked at us, her expression a complicated mix of anger, hurt, and something else I couldn't quite place. She opened her mouth as if to yell, but then closed it. Instead, she just held out her hand to Lily. Lily, come on. Let's go home. Lily looked up at me. I nodded and gave her a gentle push. Go on. Listen to your mom. Lily slowly walked over and took her mother's hand, but she kept looking back at me. Sarah glanced at me one last time, her eyes unreadable, then turned and led Lily back into the neighborhood. I stood there for a long time, watching them until they disappeared, feeling completely empty. After dropping Lily off, I felt a lingering sadness. Back in my cluttered little room, the emptiness felt even more pronounced. My phone remained silent. Sarah didn't call to yell at me. I guess Lily's words had hit her hard. Good. Maybe some time for reflection would do everyone some good. The next day, I slept in until noon, waking up with a headache. I was contemplating whether to have instant ramen or find a cheap diner when my phone rang. It was a local number I vaguely recognized. I hesitated, then answered. Hello, Ethan dear. It was Carol's voice, sounding even more fragile than last time, tinged with a cautious hope. Have you eaten yet? Here we go again. My guard went up immediately. I've eaten. What do you want? I said, my voice flat. Oh, nothing serious. She stammered. I was wondering if you were free this afternoon. Could you come over, just for a little while? Sarah, she wants to talk to you. Come over. To what? To watch the whole family put on a performance of tearful regret. And then what? No, I said bluntly. There's nothing left to talk about. We've said everything that needs to be said. Ethan, please, I'm begging you. Her voice cracked. Just come over for a little while, just to hear what Sarah has to say. I promise, just this once, we won't bother you again. I was getting annoyed. A promise? What is your promise worth? You apologized last time, and the next thing I knew, Sarah's lawyer was in my office. How can I trust a word anyone in your family says? That was Sarah being foolish. She was wrong. Carol said quickly. Then her voice softened again. Ethan, I know you don't believe us, but this time is different. Sarah, she was up all night, crying her eyes out. She knows she was wrong. She really does. Just give her a chance. And give us one, too. I held the phone, saying nothing. Honestly, I wanted no part of this. But Lily's face, her words from yesterday, kept replaying in my mind. Carol, sensing my hesitation, pressed on. Just do it for Lily. She came home yesterday with her eyes all swollen. She wouldn't eat. She just kept saying she wanted her daddy. Ethan, for our granddaughter's sake, can you please just come over? Even if it's just to talk about what's best for her. Lily, she always knew how to get to me. I let out a long sigh. Damn it, just for a little while, I said. I'll listen. Then I'm leaving. Oh yes, thank you. Thank you. Carol's voice was filled with relief. When can you come? Now, I said, not wanting to drag it out. I'll head over now. Okay. Okay, we'll be waiting. I hung up, washed my face, and changed my clothes. I looked at my reflection in the mirror, my expression unreadable. I had no idea what to expect. Walking up to that familiar building, my steps felt heavy. I stood in front of the door for a moment, then knocked. It opened almost immediately. It was Carol, her eyes red and puffy, a forced, subservient smile on her face. Ethan, you're here. Come in, come in. I stepped inside. In the living room, Frank was sitting on the sofa. He looked up at me, his expression incredibly awkward. He tried to smile, but it came out as a grimace. He just gave a stiff nod and said nothing. Sarah was standing to the side, her head down, not daring to look at me. Her eyes were swollen like peaches, her face pale. The apartment was clean, but the atmosphere was suffocating. Sit down, Ethan, please, Carol said, fussing over me. I didn't sit. I stood in the middle of the room. Let's just get this over with. What is it? Sarah looked up at me, and fresh tears started to fall. She opened her mouth, her voice raspy. Ethan, I'm so sorry. She was choking on her words. I was wrong. I shouldn't have said those things. I shouldn't have hired a lawyer. I shouldn't have used Lily to threaten you. I just wanted to force you to come back. I didn't realize I was just pushing you further away. I was a horrible person. A monster. She broke down, sobbing uncontrollably. Carol stood by, wiping her own eyes. Frank let out a heavy sigh and turned his head away. I watched them, feeling nothing but a deep, bone-weary exhaustion. What's the point of saying this now? I asked. There is a point. There is. Carol jumped in. Ethan, we know words are not enough. We will change from now on. In this house, you're in charge. We won't say another word out of line. And Sarah, she promises she'll be a good wife to you. She'll respect you. She'll support you. Sarah nodded vehemently, crying, I promise. Ethan, please, just trust me one more time. I'll do whatever you say. Let's make this work. For Lily. For Lily. Always for Lily. I looked at the two of them, a crying mother and daughter, and the sullen-looking man on the sofa. It was all so pathetic. All right, stop crying. I cut them off. Crying doesn't solve anything. They quieted down and looked at me. I took a deep breath and said what I had been thinking. You say you're sorry, and you want me to come back. Fine. Their faces lit up with hope. But, I said, my voice firm, not like before. First, I will not live with you two anymore, I said, looking at Frank and Carol. You can live on your own. You can move back to your hometown. I don't care. But you will not live with us. Their expressions shifted, but they didn't dare to object. Second, my relationship with Sarah is between the two of us. You will not interfere. At all. Third, from now on, I manage the finances. Sarah's paycheck gets deposited into my account. I decide how we spend our money. Fourth, household chores, raising our daughter. Everything is a 50-50 partnership. I am not your servant. And fifth, I looked at Sarah. We are signing that divorce agreement. If you ever, for 1 second, go back to your old ways, I will file it, and we will be done. No questions asked. I finished and looked at them. Those are my terms that if you can agree to them, I will consider coming back. If not, we'll see each other in court. Your choice. The room was dead silent. Carol was the first to speak, her voice trembling. Yes, we can do that. We agree. As long as you come back, we'll do whatever you say. Sarah was also nodding, sobbing. Yes, I agree. I'll do whatever you say. Frank said nothing, but just let out another heavy sigh, which I took as his assent. Words are cheap, I said. Sarah, you call that lawyer, Mr. Davis, right now, and you tell him to bring over the divorce agreement. We're signing it. Sarah froze for a second, then fumbled for her phone. Okay, I'll call him now. She dialed the number in front of me and, through her tears, explained the situation. After she hung up, she looked at me as if awaiting judgment. Fine, I nodded. I'll go pack my things today. I'll move back in tomorrow. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Carol was overjoyed. I'll help you, No, I cut her off. I'll do it myself. You all just remember what you promised. With that, I turned and walked out. I didn't look back. Outside, the sun was bright. I didn't feel happy. I just felt a heavy sense of responsibility. I knew this was just the beginning. The road ahead would be long and difficult. Whether they could really change, whether Sarah had really understood, remained to be seen. But for Lily, maybe it was worth one more try. Just one. A final one. I took out my phone and called Sarah. She answered on the first ring. "Hello, Ethan. Tell Lily," I said, my voice even, "that Daddy's coming home tomorrow." On the other end, I heard Sarah's muffled sob and then Lily's joyful shout. "Really, Daddy? Are you really coming home?" "Yay." Hearing my daughter's happy voice, that hard, cold place in my heart softened just a little. The next afternoon, I returned with my single suitcase. Sarah was waiting for me. When I walked in, she gave me a nervous smile. "You're back. I cleaned the room for you." "Thanks." I put my suitcase back in the bedroom. When I came out, she was in the kitchen, a pile of vegetables in the sink. What should we have for dinner?" she asked, embarrassed. "I bought some fish and some potatoes and eggplant. I just don't know how to cook them." I went over and looked. "We'll bake the fish, roast the potatoes, and saute the eggplant," I said, rolling up my sleeves. "I'll show you. First, you need to season the fish." She clumsily grabbed the salt and pepper, her movements awkward. I didn't take over, just stood by and walked her through the steps. "Heat the pan, add some oil." "Yes, like that. Put the fish in. Careful, it might splatter. Let it get golden brown before you flip it." Dinner was a chaotic affair. The kitchen looked like a war zone by the time we were done. The fish was a little dry, the potatoes were a bit undercooked, and the eggplant was too salty. But it was a meal. At the table, Lily ate with gusto. It was probably better than the takeout her mom had been ordering. Sarah looked embarrassed. "It's not as good as when you cook. You'll get the hang of it," I said, eating my food. After dinner, I started clearing the table. Sarah quickly stood up. "I'll do the dishes. We'll do them together," I said, taking the plates to the kitchen. She followed me, standing by awkwardly as I started washing. "Get a cloth and wipe down the counters," I said. "Oh, okay." She scurried to find cloth. Later that evening, Lily brought her homework to me. "Daddy, I don't get this one." I looked at the math problem and explained the steps to her. Sarah watched from the side, not saying a word. After Lily was in bed, we sat in the living room in silence. I paid the electricity and water bills online," she said, breaking the silence, as if giving a report. "The gas bill is due soon." I wrote it down. "Okay," I nodded. "From now on, let's keep track of those together, so we don't miss any." "Okay," she agreed. Another silence. "Ethan," she said quietly, "thank you for coming back." "I didn't come back for thanks," I said, my eyes on the TV. "I came back to see if this new start you talked about is real. Don't make me regret this." She didn't say anything else, just a soft okay. I knew this was just the beginning. Habits ingrained over years don't disappear overnight. I had given her one last chance, but I was still on high alert. One slip up, one moment of disrespect, and I would walk out that door and never look back. What this new life would look like was entirely up to her. I, for one, would never be the man I was before. The days passed, not good, not bad, just different. Sarah was genuinely trying, though she was clumsy. Her cooking was still a gamble. Too salty one day, bland the next. She even dropped a plate while doing dishes. But I didn't criticize her. There was no point. It would just feel like I was looking for a fight. Whatever she made, I ate. I split the chores down the middle. If she mopped, I dusted. If she cooked, I washed the dishes. We pooled our money, and now, before she bought anything significant online, she'd send me a screenshot with a text. "Is this okay?" I knew it was mostly a formality, but she waited for my yes before she clicked buy. Lily was still my shadow. She'd run to me first thing after school. I helped with her homework. I went to parent-teacher conferences. Sarah seemed a little jealous, but she didn't say anything. She just watched, as if trying to learn. About 2 weeks in, we went to the grocery store on a Saturday. Sarah was pushing the cart, and I was grabbing things off the shelves. We got to the rice aisle, and she picked up a bag, looked at the price, and muttered, "Wow, the price of this brand went up again. It's way more expensive than the one you usually buy." I didn't say anything. Before, she never cared about the price of rice, only whether it tasted good. An older couple walked by, and the woman glanced at us, then whispered to her husband, loud enough for us to hear, "See that? It's always the women in charge these days. The men just follow along, holding the purse." I didn't react. I was used to it. But Sarah whipped her head around and said to the woman, "Excuse me, but in our family, we make decisions together. Whoever has a free hand grabs things." How is that following along? I'm grateful my husband is here with me, helping me carry things. Is that a problem for you? The old woman was stunned, her face turning red. She mumbled something about no manners and quickly pulled her husband away. Sarah turned back to me, still fuming, but with a little smirk, as if to say, "See, I stood up for you." I just looked at her, then continued walking down the aisle. A strange feeling settled in my chest. It wasn't bad. It was okay. A few nights later, we were in bed. I just turned off the light when I noticed her tossing and turning. "Ethan, are you awake?" she whispered. "Yeah, what's wrong?" My stomach hurts. It feels like heartburn." She sounded miserable. I sat up and turned on the lamp. "Did you eat something spicy?" "Just a little bit." "Hang on." I got out of bed, went to the kitchen, and poured her a glass of warm water. I rummaged through the pantry and found a box of saltine crackers, grabbing a couple for her. "Drink this slowly, then have these," I said, handing them to her. She sat up against the headboard, sipping the water and nibbling on the crackers. After a few minutes, she seemed to feel better. "Thanks," she said softly. "It's fine." I got back into bed. "Stay away from spicy food for a while. I'll make you some oatmeal in the morning." "Okay," she said, and then it was quiet. Just as I was about to fall asleep, I heard her say, almost in a whisper, "Honey, I'm sorry, and thank you." I didn't open my eyes. I just grunted in acknowledgement. I knew this time she meant it, and I knew maybe we could make this work. Not by going back to the way things were, but by starting over. She was still learning. I was still adjusting. It would be messy, but at least we were facing the right direction. That tightness in my chest, that string that had been pulled so taut for so long, felt just a little bit looser. The signed divorce agreement was still locked in the bottom drawer of my desk. Maybe one day I'd need it, or maybe I never would. Let's just see how it goes.